About 25 years ago, I was invited to do a workshop with a fledgling organisation called the Drake Research Project, which went on to become Drake Music. It took me about half a day to load an estate car full of Ataris. Anybody remember the Atari computer? Thank you. Various keyboards, switches, sound beams, controllers, and we drove across Yorkshire to a little school near Harrogate, and we spent a significant amount of time setting up the gear, and then the students joined us for the start of the workshop, at which point there was a power cut. So whilst the focus of much of my work is very much to do with technology, my first point has to be, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Very often there are some very old-fashioned, very simple solutions. Okay? Not everything has to be technology. Let's add technology to the toolkit, but continue to embrace the tradition of best practice with acoustic instruments. I say that as a real technophile. Thank you. Next slide, please. One of the things that I found particularly useful in any kind of technology workshop is often overlooked, and that's the simple microphone. A microphone is a wondrous device. Its job is to turn sound into electricity. You can then do all kinds of things with it. The fact that a microphone like this is wireless means you can easily pass it around the classroom and invite other people to say hello.
Hello.
I've done some fantastic sessions using nothing more than a microphone and a reverb unit. I'm thinking of a girl we worked with in Hull whose parents informed us that she would simply sit in her wheelchair, rock back and forth and scream all day long, which she did on admission to the classroom. I gave her a wireless microphone connected to a very large cavernous reverb. Within seconds she'd become silent. She held the microphone to her lips and simply went. When she realised that she could do that, to hear this massive sound coming back at her, she began to laugh. And she spent the next hour, until you could prise the thing out of her fingers, vocalising in a way that the staff said she never could. Microphones. Next slide please, Doug. I said it was whistle stop. Wires. Gotta love them. Two things. Wherever possible, embrace wireless technology, whether it's a microphone or the kind of stuff that I'm doing with some of these Apollo sensors, where they're wireless, so we can throw them to each other around the classroom. Okay? If you do need wires, I suggest you also set aside a portion of the budget on these. These are wonderful devices. They are releasable cable ties. I buy them by the thousand. If you're involved in technology, they will revolutionise your life. Next slide, please. Okay, now I know these are very expensive speakers. Audiophiles will recognise them as PMCs, but please, if we're involved in technology, let's remember that the loudspeaker is the only bit you actually listen to. Okay? I have found that the quality of sound that reaches the ears of the participants is a significant factor in their appreciation of the session and in their ability to contribute effectively. Don't spend the whole budget on flashy gear and then use the small change to buy a cheap pair of speakers. We also need to consider very, very carefully where we put the speakers. It can be a very disjointed and disembodied experience to play a switch and hear the sound come from the other side of the classroom. We need to reinforce cause and effect by keeping the loudspeaker systems close to participants. If you have a sophisticated mixing desk, it might mean multiple speaker systems. Next slide, please. I've touched on this, but cause and effect is hugely important. If you rattle a tambourine, it's incredibly obvious what the cause is and what the effect is. There's a physicality to doing that. Music technology can remove that. It's incredibly important to do activities which reinforce cause and effect. And the next slide, please. Much as I hate the phrase, sometimes it's vital to think outside the box. By this, I've found that often it's useful to use and abuse technology and make it do things which the manufacturers probably never anticipated it would be used for. I think perhaps of a project I did with an autistic group, and we ended up using the demo button on the little Yamaha portable keyboard. Nobody ever plays the demo button, but this became a valuable theme tune which we used at the beginning and at the end of sessions. It was instantly there and it was recognisable. It bookmarked that time as a musical learning experience. Use and abuse, think outside the box. And finally, thank you. I have found it extraordinarily important in 25 years to never rip up the L plates, but to always consider ourselves as co-learners. Thank you.